As the tributes stand on their podiums, the horn sounds. Shrignold grabs a shovel. Frog Boy runs away from the cornucopia. Sketchbook runs away from the cornucopia. The special one runs away from the cornucopia. Gilbert runs away from the cornucopia. Spinachkin grabs a shield leaning on the cornucopia. File takes a handful of throwing knives. Pizier finds a bag full of explosives. Duck Guy runs away from the cornucopia. Tony runs away from the cornucopia. Michael grabs a backpack, not realizing it is empty. Colin snatches a pair of sayas. Football runs away with a lighter and some rope. Microphone runs away from the cornucopia. Yellow Guy runs away from the cornucopia. Red Steak, Red Guy, and Bread Boy work together to get as many supplies as possible. Sax runs away from the cornucopia. Roy runs away from the cornucopia. The Love Tree runs away from the cornucopia. Shovel grabs a sword. Rabbit Boy clutches a first aid kit and runs away. Hugo takes a handful of throwing knives. Bread Boy receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Frog Boy scares Gilbert off. Red Steak discovers a river. Sketchbook is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Sax practices his archery. Pizier picks flowers. Hugo and Spinachkin work together for the day. Michael falls into a pit and dies. File receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Shrignold sees smoke rising in the distance, but decides not to investigate. The special one is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Microphone makes a wooden spear. Tony chases Duck Guy. Shovel scares the Love Tree off. Yellow Guy and Colin split up to search for resources. Football begs for Roy to kill him. He refuses, keeping Football alive. Red Guy and Rabbit Boy split up to search for resources. Football questions his sanity. Microphone passes out from exhaustion. Roy, Hugo, and Gilbert sleep in shifts. The Love Tree sets up camp for the night. Duck Guy questions his sanity. Colin sees a fire, but stays hidden. The special one tends to her wounds. Pizier and Yellow Guy work together to drown Bread Boy. Sax loses sight of where he is. Rabbit Boy loses sight of where he is. Shovel thinks about winning. Red Guy sees a fire, but stays hidden. File receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Shrignold sees a fire, but stays hidden. Red Steak thinks about home. Tony falls into a frozen lake and drowns. Sketchbook sees a fire, but stays hidden. Frog Boy is awoken by nightmares. Spinachkin receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Sketchbook and Roy split up to search for resources. The Love Tree questions his sanity. Gilbert goes hunting. Sax receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Rabbit Boy and Frog Boy work together for the day. Shovel tries to spear fish with a trident. Yellow Guy hunts for other tributes. Pizier searches for a water source. Hugo receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. File makes a wooden spear. Red Guy makes a slingshot. Duck Guy camouflages himself in the bushes. The special one begs for Shrignold to kill her. He refuses, keeping the special one alive. Football sees smoke rising in the distance, but decides not to investigate. Colin tends to Spinachkin's wounds. Red Steak thinks about home. Microphone searches for firewood. The special one receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Shrignold and Football sleep in shifts. Shovel questions her sanity. Colin is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Sketchbook and Sax hold hands. File thinks about winning. The Love Tree tries to sing himself to sleep. Red Guy, Pizier, and Rabbit Boy cheerfully sing songs together. Duck Guy lets Frog Boy into his shelter. Roy and Spinachkin tell stories about themselves to each other. Hugo stays awake all night. Red Steak starts a fire. Gilbert questions his sanity. Microphone receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Yellow Guy dies trying to escape the arena. Microphone, Red Steak, Gilbert, Shovel, and Roy hunt for other tributes. Frog Boy fishes. Red Guy receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. Pizier sees smoke rising in the distance, but decides not to investigate. The Love Tree injures himself. File, Shrignold, and Sax get into a fight. Shrignold triumphantly kills them both. The special one receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Duck Guy sprains his ankle while running away from Football. Spinachkin sets an explosive off, killing Rabbit Boy, Sketchbook, Hugo, and Colin. The special one quietly hums. Microphone cries himself to sleep. Roy looks at the night sky. Red Steak stays awake all night. The Love Tree and Frog Boy hold hands. Duck Guy tends to Red Guy's wounds. Shovel destroys Spinachkin's supplies while she is asleep. Shrignold sees a fire, but stays hidden. Football receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Gilbert climbs a tree to rest. Pizier receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. The special one quietly hums. Microphone cries himself to sleep. Roy looks at the night sky. Red Steak stays awake all night. The Love Tree and Frog Boy hold hands. Duck Guy tends to Red Guy's wounds. Pizier sets an explosive off, killing Roy, Spinachkin, and the special one. Red Guy questions his sanity. Shrignold discovers a cave. Shovel makes a slingshot. Football, Red Steak, Gilbert, and Microphone raid Duck Guy's camp while he is hunting. The Love Tree tends to Frog Boy's wounds. Football tends to his wounds. Gilbert thinks about winning. Red Guy tries to treat his infection. Frog Boy receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Shovel receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Duck Guy receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Pizier fends Red Steak, Shrignold, and the Love Tree away from his fire. Microphone dies from an infection. Duck Guy tends to Football's wounds. Pizier shoots an arrow at Red Guy, but misses and kills Shrignold instead. Frog Boy falls into a frozen lake and drowns. Red Steak attacks Gilbert, but he manages to escape. The Love Tree receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Shovel receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Pizier and Duck Guy sleep in shifts. Red Guy, Red Steak, Gilbert, Football, and the Love Tree sleep in shifts. Shovel thinks about winning. Football kills Shovel as she tries to run. Duck Guy kills Pizier with a sickle. The Love Tree and Red Guy decide to work together to get more supplies. Gilbert shoots an arrow into Red Steak's head. The Love Tree dies from hypothermia. Duck Guy questions his sanity. Red Guy kills Gilbert with a sickle. Football receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Duck Guy starts a fire. Red Guy screams for help. Football thinks about home. Football diverts Red Guy's attention and runs away. Duck Guy tries to spear fish with a trident. Red Guy, Football, and Duck Guy get into a fight. Red Guy triumphantly kills them both. The winner is Red Guy from District 1.